Have you ever wondered why some seniors find a path toward healing after the loss of a spouse while others struggle with regret or unexpected burdens? Losing a beloved partner can be one of the most devastating experiences in life. It is not only the weight of grief but also the sudden avalanche of decisions that must be made, often in a haze of sadness or confusion. In the United States, countless older adults face these crossroads every year. According to the National Institute on Aging, millions of seniors find themselves grappling with new challenges in the wake of a spouse's passing, and it is natural to feel overwhelmed by the emotional and practical tasks that follow. Have you ever felt pressure to make choices you are not entirely ready for? Have you ever worried about the possible financial traps or emotional pitfalls that might appear when your world has been turned upside down? Today, this discussion will explore 5 crucial signs that older individuals should think twice about. Each of these warning signs reflects a common pitfall that can lead to regret, extra financial strain, or deeper emotional stress, if not handled with care and patience. Let us begin by noting that losing a spouse does not come with a neat timeline for grieving. In fact, experts from organizations like the World Health Organization and the American Psychological Association emphasize that grief varies from person to person. Some individuals may need more time and support, while others might feel ready to address certain issues more quickly. Yet during these uncertain months, it is easy to underestimate the impact of grief on your decisions. That is why it is so important to pause, seek trusted advice, and avoid rushing into choices that might seem urgent but are better approached with clarity. If you want to keep learning about these potential dangers and how to navigate them, stay with me until the very end. Your support matters, so please consider subscribing or sharing your experiences in the comments whenever a particular point resonates with you. Together, we can build a community that uplifts those who are coping with loss. One major sign that requires our attention involves making big financial decisions too soon. Many older adults find themselves suddenly dealing with unfamiliar bank accounts, insurance policies, or investments immediately after losing a spouse. The desire for stability can be so strong that they jump into irreversible moves. Imagine feeling that everything is spinning, so you decide to sell your house right away or put a large sum into an investment someone has recommended. This might feel logical in the heat of the moment, especially if you believe it could bring some sense of control. But according to the AARP, grief can cloud judgment and lead to decisions that are not suited to your long-term well-being. Let us consider Margaret. She was 74 when her husband passed. Well-intentioned friends and even a few financial advisors insisted that selling her home would be the best step forward. The idea sounded sensible. Downsizing can reduce expenses, it can simplify upkeep, and it can offer a fresh start. Yet in hindsight, Margaret realized she made that choice out of a sense of panic. After she sold the house they had shared for 40 years, she felt lost and disconnected in a new apartment far from familiar neighbors. She missed the comfort and familiarity of her old routines and wished she had given herself more time to process her emotions before committing to such a drastic plan. If you find yourself in a similar situation, remember that it is often advisable to wait at least a year before making significant financial changes. The so-called one-year rule, endorsed by many financial experts, allows the initial shock of grief to subside and gives you the emotional bandwidth to think clearly. This goes beyond real estate decisions. Many newly widowed seniors become targets of what some experts call financial predators, who see this vulnerable moment as an opportunity for profit. High-pressure sales tactics, unsolicited offers that appear suddenly in the mail, or even suggestions from friends who do not truly understand your circumstances can lead to serious regrets later on. It is wise to speak with a certified financial planner, a reliable attorney, or a trusted family member before you sign anything significant. A measured approach can protect you from draining your savings or sinking money into investments that do not align with your actual goals. Equally important is the tendency to give away money or assets too quickly in the spirit of generosity. Grief can amplify the desire to help children, grandchildren, or favorite charities, The thought of spreading good might bring comfort momentarily. However, large financial gifts can deplete your resources and leave you vulnerable years down the line. If you need a pause right now, take a moment to reflect. If you've ever felt pressure to hand over money soon after your spouse passed, remember that hesitation is perfectly okay. Feel free to share your stories in the comments below. Your experiences could help others recognize the same red flags. Now we move into another vital sign: isolating yourself from friends and family. Grief is deeply personal, so the impulse to retreat behind closed doors can feel almost irresistible. But organizations like the CDC and the National Council on Aging caution that prolonged isolation in older adults often leads to worse outcomes, physically and mentally. If you are consistently ignoring calls from friends, declining invitations to family gatherings, or convincing yourself that no one can possibly understand what you are going through, you might be unintentionally fueling a cycle of loneliness that only amplifies your sorrow. Consider Walter, age 78, whose wife of 52 years passed away. Grief left him feeling drained and irritable, so he stopped answering phone calls and no longer bothered attending community events. Each day started to blur into the next. He found no joy in cooking, had difficulty sleeping, and felt an undercurrent of hopelessness. One neighbor, unwilling to see him vanish into solitude, insisted that Walter join them for coffee. That small interaction became a weekly habit. Soon, Walter realized that sharing even a few moments with a caring neighbor helped lift some of that heaviness, and eventually he felt ready to reconnect with more people. It is perfectly normal if you are not yet in the mood for large social gatherings. A gentle step like a short walk with a friend or a supportive phone call can keep you tethered to the world outside your grief. If you find this perspective on staying connected useful, feel free to comment or share how you have handled feelings of isolation. Your story might resonate with someone who really needs to hear it. Moments of withdrawal are understandable, especially when you feel emotionally exhausted, but shutting out everyone for months on end can create new layers of sadness and anxiety. Many people who have isolated themselves realize that returning to a social routine is harder than they thought. Human contact, even at a minimal level, often boosts your sense of belonging and reassurance. Let people in bit by bit. It does not mean you have to talk about your grief nonstop, but having a comforting presence near you can provide a degree of stability. Support groups or community resources can be incredibly beneficial too. For instance, local churches, senior centers, or grief support circles often hold meetings where participants share stories, tears, and coping strategies. Listening to others' experiences and acknowledging that your feelings are valid can be a turning point in your journey. Another warning sign arises when older adults ignore their own health and well-being. When your spouse passes away, your usual routines might break apart, and it becomes alarmingly easy to skip meals, neglect exercise, or postpone doctor's appointments. According to the World Health Organization, high stress levels can compromise the immune system, leaving you more vulnerable to illness. Some seniors eat too little because they no longer see the point of cooking. Others turn to unhealthy snacks or sugary foods for a fleeting sense of comfort. One example is James, who was 81 when his wife passed. He told himself he was simply not hungry, and if he did eat, it was something processed and quick. Over a few months, he felt weaker, slept poorly, and lost the energy to do basic tasks. Noticing the change, his daughter gently encouraged him to start preparing simple meals again and to increase his water intake. Gradually, he regained some strength and discovered that, although grief still weighed on his heart, nourishing his body gave him a steadier foundation to handle the emotional roller coaster. If you feel you are neglecting your health, remember that it is neither selfish nor disrespectful to your late spouse to prioritize your physical and emotional wellness. Revisit a gentle exercise routine, consult a physician about any persistent aches or pains, and do not underestimate the power of consistent sleep. Whether you live alone or near family, a balanced diet and daily movement, even if that is just a short neighborhood stroll, can significantly lower stress levels and sustain a healthier mindset. In a similar vein, if you have medications or existing health conditions that need monitoring, do not wait to make those doctor appointments. Sometimes people fear that attending routine health visits will force them to think about mortality, but ignoring warning signs might lead to preventable complications. If you catch yourself relating to any of these scenarios, share in the comments or reach out to a friend. Let them know you might need a bit of accountability or support in resuming a healthy routine. An additional concern you should watch out for is rushing into a new relationship. When you lose a life companion, the void can feel overwhelming, and loneliness may creep in almost daily. It is understandable to miss companionship or the comfort of having someone beside you. There is nothing inherently wrong with longing for connection. However, the danger lies in leaping into a romance before fully processing your grief. Some seniors feel an urgent need to fill that emptiness, even if their emotional well-being has not stabilized. Professionals warn that relationships formed in the immediate aftermath of a spouse's death might be built on the need to escape loneliness rather than on genuine compatibility. Let us explore Barbara's story. She was 72 when she lost her husband after nearly 5 decades of marriage. Only a few months into widowhood, she met someone through a friend. Initially, the companionship soothed her sorrow, giving her someone to dine with and talk to. But she soon realized that she had bypassed necessary steps in her healing. The relationship moved faster than she wanted. Guilt and confusion followed. She questioned whether she was betraying her husband's memory, and she felt uneasy about the speed of the new bond. This does not mean you should avoid all relationships for the rest of your life. With time and self-reflection, many widows and widowers do discover meaningful companionship again. The key is ensuring that you are not racing into a commitment just to numb your loneliness or grief. Asking yourself whether you truly feel ready for a new relationship can help you recognize if you are acting from panic or genuine desire. Experts from various geriatric associations recommend taking it slowly, talking to trusted friends or therapists, and making sure your emotional foundation is solid before stepping into a major new chapter. Stay alert for warning signals too. If someone you meet pushes you to isolate from your family or demands access to your finances, that is a red flag. If you are finding these insights helpful, consider leaving a comment. Let me know if you have ever felt societal pressure to couple up quickly. Your experiences might guide someone else to think twice before jumping headfirst into a new situation. The next sign is subtle yet powerful. Holding on to every single possession and resisting any form of change. When a spouse passes away, every item left behind carries emotional weight. Each piece of clothing, every note scribbled in the margin of a book can be a painful reminder of what has been lost. It is normal to want to preserve these items, as if letting go would mean losing the person all over again. Yet mental health specialists note that transforming your entire home into a shrine can trap you in a cycle of grieving that does not allow room for any newness in your life. Take Harold, who was 76 when his wife passed. He left everything exactly as she had it, from her slippers by the door to the half-full mug she once used. For a while he believed this was an expression of love, but as the weeks turned into months, he found himself unable to move forward in any meaningful way. Each day brought the same wave of sorrow, and he eventually realized he needed a healthier balance. This balance does not mean discarding every memory. You can keep cherished mementos, such as a special piece of jewelry, a small collection of photos, or a handwritten note. Some seniors find creative ways to maintain a connection, like transforming old shirts into quilts or compiling letters in a scrapbook for future generations to see. Releasing items in a gentle, selective manner can provide emotional release while still honoring your spouse's memory. If you are not ready, do not force yourself to do it all at once. Begin with a single drawer or a closet. If friends and family push you to clear out everything too soon, remind them that the timing of your healing is personal. Take it at your own pace, but also keep in mind that, if holding on to every object begins to weigh your spirit down, it might be time to rethink. Should you have an experience of your own, perhaps about giving away a few items or passing on a favorite keepsake to a grandchild, feel free to leave a comment. Your personal journey may validate someone else's conflicting emotions about preserving or parting with belongings. As we move toward concluding these 5 critical signs, remember that each one is rooted in the realities of grieving and adjusting to life after a partner's death. Making immediate financial decisions, isolating yourself, neglecting your health, rushing into romance, or refusing to let go of anything can all stem from the same source: the profound upheaval that grief unleashes. According to mental health research, supported by groups like the American Geriatric Society, these pitfalls often overlap, reinforcing each other if not identified early. Yet you have the power to recognize and address them with the right guidance. If you are still here, you probably appreciate the depth of these warnings. Maybe you have observed someone close to you making one or more of these choices, or perhaps you sense yourself edging toward a decision you might regret. Before we conclude, I want to emphasize that you do not have to face these challenges alone. Support is available, whether it comes from local bereavement groups, counselors specialized in geriatric mental health, or simply a network of empathetic friends and family. Consider reaching out. Schedule that appointment with a financial advisor, or talk to a trusted loved one about how you truly feel. If you have thoughts on any of these points, let me know in the comments. Your perspective could encourage someone else to open up. And if you have found even one piece of advice here that resonates, please like this video or share it with someone who might be helped by it. In summary, the 5 signs we have explored are cautionary beacons reminding you to slow down, reassess, and show kindness to yourself. The first sign involves leaping into major financial decisions without giving yourself enough time to grieve. It is wiser to pause, consult professionals, and revisit big moves after you have regained some emotional footing. The second sign is the lure of isolation, which can deepen feelings of loneliness and impact mental and physical health. The third sign warns against neglecting your own well-being, whether by skipping meals, avoiding exercise, or refusing medical care. Remember that looking after your body is not a betrayal of the love you shared with your spouse. The fourth sign addresses the risk of rushing into a new romantic relationship, a step that should be guided by true readiness rather than a desperate attempt to stave off loneliness. Finally, the fifth sign, the inclination to cling to every possession, might hinder your ability to find a balanced path forward. Holding on to precious items that hold meaning is one thing, but maintaining a frozen environment can lock your heart in perpetual mourning. Everyone's journey through grief is deeply personal, and there is no one-size-fits-all timetable for healing. If you have found reassurance, practical tips, or validation in any part of this message, let me know. Every story shared can provide comfort to someone facing similar challenges. If you want to see more content about navigating life's transitions, consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Remember that a bit of caution and a gentle pace can safeguard your finances, your relationships, and, above all, your peace of mind. Thank you for giving me your time and attention today. I hope these 5 warning signs will serve as thoughtful reminders of what to watch out for and how to protect both your heart and your future. Your loved one would want the best for you, and taking these steps toward clarity and stability is a meaningful way to honor the life you shared together. I look forward to hearing your thoughts, experiences, and hopes for the future in the comments. Until next time, please stay safe, stay connected, and know that you are never truly alone on this path.